Okay, so you know how much I love a good barbecue, right? And honestly, is there anything better than a perfectly smoked sausage?
I mean, it's up there for sure. It's like this primal satisfaction.
It really is. And today we're going deep on that.
We're diving into the history, the techniques, and honestly, the magic of perfectly smoked sausage.
And for this deep dive, we're going to be pulling from this really interesting source. It's called Unlocking the Secrets of Perfectly Smoked Sausages, a journey through time and taste.
Yeah, it's this really fascinating look at the history and like the evolution of smoking sausages.
From like cavemen to modern day.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
So whether you're, someone who's been smoking meats for years,
Or you're just starting out.
or you just love a good sausage,
Oh,
you
no.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We've got something for you today.
For sure.
So let's kick things off with this, the source talks about the smoky saga, right? This whole history of smoking. And it's crazy to think that smoking meat was like one of the earliest forms of food preservation.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, think about it. This was way before refrigerators.
Yeah.
This is how people kept food from spoiling.
And like, who figured that out?
Right. Like someone was just like, hey, what if we hang this meat over the fire?
And it's like genius. It worked.
It's amazing. And it gave the meat this incredible flavor.
Talk about a happy accident, right?
Total accent, I'm sure.
So, moving on from caveman times, the source talks about ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and the Romans and how they were really into their smoked meats.
Yeah. And it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
These were empires that were constantly on the move, whether for trade or war.
Yeah, they needed food that would last.
Exactly. They couldn't be lugging around a bunch of fresh meat that would just go bad.
So smoking was the perfect solution?
It allowed them to travel long distances and still have a reliable source of protein.
It's amazing how resourceful people were back then.
Seriously, right?
Okay, so obviously smoking techniques have like evolved a lot over time, and the source points to the Middle Ages in Europe as this like real turning point.
Because that's when different regions started developing their own distinct smoking methods.
Exactly, like different types of wood, different spices.
And that's what led to like the regional variations we see today.
It's so cool to think about like, German sausages versus Italian sausages versus.
Yeah, like each region developed its own signature flavor profile.
Exactly. And the source talks about how the types of wood available in each area played a big role in that.
Oh, absolutely. Different woods give off different flavors when they burn.
So like if you were in a place with a lot of oak trees, you'd be smoking with oak.
Exactly. And that would give your sausage a certain flavor.
And then if you were in an area with a lot of apple trees,
You'd use apple wood, and that would give you a completely different flavor.
it's like terroir for sausages.
That's a great way to put it.
So then we get to the Renaissance period, and this is when smoked sausage like really becomes a staple food.
It went from being just a preservation method to like a culinary art form.
And it's interesting because the Renaissance was this time of like huge cultural and artistic development,
Yeah, there was this explosion of creativity in all areas of life.
including food.
Absolutely. And smoked sausages were a part of that.
Now, fast forward a few centuries and we get to the Industrial Revolution.
Which might seem like a weird jump, but it actually had a huge impact on smoked sausage.
Yeah, because all of a sudden we have all this new technology.
Like factories and mass production.
And that led to smoked sausages being produced on a much larger scale.
Exactly. Which made them more affordable and accessible to more people.
So it was kind of a democratization of smoked sausage in a way.
I like that. Yeah, it made it so that everyone could enjoy this delicious food.
Okay, so the source also highlights some of the key figures in the history of smoked sausage.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with the butcher.
The OG smoke master.
Right. The butcher was like this central figure in communities for centuries.
They were responsible for sourcing the meat, preparing it, and of course, smoking it.
They were like the gatekeepers of all this knowledge about how to create the perfect smoked sausage.
And they passed that knowledge down through generations.
It was a real craft.
Absolute.
Now, the source also talks about some more modern figures in the world of smoked meat, like Aaron Franklin and Stephen Raichlen.
Oh, yeah, those guys are legends.
They've really helped to popularize smoking in recent years.
Through their TV shows, their books,
They've made it seem more accessible to the average person.
Exactly. They've shown people that you don't need to be a professional butcher to smoke a good sausage.
You can do it in your own backyard.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into some of the more like mind-blowing facts about smoked sausage.
Okay, let's do it.
And one of the things I've always been curious about is how different types of wood affect the flavor.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing the impact that wood can have.
It's not just about the smoke, it's about the specific type of wood.
It's exact. Different woods have different chemical compounds that are released when they burn.
And those compounds infuse the sausage with different
For
flavors.
example, hickory wood gives you a really strong smoky flavor.
It's like the classic barbecue flavor.
Exactly, whereas applewood gives you a much sweeter, more delicate smoke.
It's so fascinating how much of a difference the wood makes.
It really is. It's like choosing the right wine to pair with your meal.
Yeah, you wouldn't pair a bold red wine with a delicate fish dish.
Right, and you wouldn't smoke a sausage with hickory if you wanted a subtle, smoky flavor.
You'd use something like applewood or cherrywood.
Exactly.
So the source also talks about the amazing global diversity of smoked sausages,
Oh yeah, there's so many different varieties out there,
like Louisiana andouille.
which is spicy and smoky and just delicious.
It's perfect in gumbo,
Totally. And then there's Polish kielbasa.
which is also smoky, but it has a different flavor profile.
It's more garlicky and savory.
And each of these sausages has its own unique history and cultural significance.
It's exactly. They represent the culinary traditions of their respective regions.
It's really cool to think about how a simple food like sausage can be so diverse and have such a rich history.
I agree. It's amazing.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
So let's try to put it all together in a timeline.
Oh, it sounds good.
So we start in the prehistoric era.
With the discovery of smoking as a way to preserve food.
Then we move on to ancient civilizations like the Egyptians and the Romans who really embraced smoking.
And then we get to the Middle Ages, where regional smoking techniques start to develop in Europe.
And then the Renaissance, where smoked sausage becomes a true culinary staple.
Followed by the Industrial Revolution, which brings mass production of smoked sausage.
And finally, we arrive at the present day where we're seeing a resurgence of interest in artisanal smoking.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. So for our listeners out there who are maybe thinking about trying their hand at smoking sausage, what are some key takeaways from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that smoking sausage is all about balance. Yeah, balance between the smoke, the seasoning, and the time.
Okay, so you need to find the right type of wood for the flavor you're going for.
Exactly, and you need to make sure your sausage is seasoned properly.
And then you need to smoke it for the right amount of time.
Exactly, too little time, and it won't be smoky enough.
For too much time, and it could be dry or bitter.
Right. So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
And the source really encourages people to experiment.
Oh, absolutely. Don't be afraid to try different things.
Different woods, different spices, different times.
That's how you learn, and that's how you develop your own unique style.
Exactly. So, you could try smoking a sausage with applewood and then try it with hickory and see which one you prefer.
Or you could experiment with different spice blends, add some paprika or some cayenne pepper.
You could even try adding some sweetness with a little bit of brown sugar.
The possibilities are endless.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of smoked sausage,
What are your final thoughts?
well, I think it's clear that smoking sausage is more than just a cooking technique.
It's a craft.
It's an art form,
It's a connection to our culinary history.
and it's a delicious way to bring people together.
I couldn't agree more.
So for our listeners out there, I encourage you to get out there and experiment with smoking your own sausages.
Embrace the process,
Have fun with it,
and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
because that's how you learn.
And who knows? You might just discover the next great smoked sausage flavor combination.
And when you do, be sure to share it with us.
We'd love to hear about it.
Until next time, happy smoking.
Happy smoking, everyone!